Yo, what up guys, it's your boy BP Ham, and today we're making Bon Appetit's brown butter and toffee chocolate chip cookie. For those of you who don't know, I love a good chocolate chip cookie, and it's probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite dessert to eat. Word on the street is that people go crazy for these cookies, and actually one of my viewers commented for me to try these cookies out because they were having a little trouble with them spreading. And to be honest, I've made these cookies many times in the past and they do spread a lot, but I got some tips for you guys to help counteract some of those issues you may be having while making these cookies. I'm excited to share those tips with you, so let's get started. For this recipe, you're gonna wanna use all-purpose flour, sugar, dark brown sugar, baking soda, 2 room temperature eggs, room temperature butter, Heath bars or Skor bars, dark chocolate bars, vanilla extract, and some kosher salt. The first step to this recipe is browning the butter. What you're gonna do is get 2 sticks of butter, that's 227 grams of butter. Depending on the butter that you use, the amount of time it's gonna take to brown is gonna be a little different because of the fat to water content of different butters. So you're gonna wanna watch this really closely while you're doing it. Just stick those butter sticks into a pot. Usually wanna use like a stainless steel pot. No dark pots because you can't really see the butter browning in a darker pot. And then also you want to use like a thick bottom pot so it heats more evenly. So I'm just going to turn the heat on to a medium high and then let that butter melt. You can see it's melting already. And it's going to take about 5 to 8 minutes to brown depending on your heat, your temperature, the butter you're using. So just make sure you keep an eye on it. And trust me, this part may seem a little easy because you're just watching it, but butter can brown very fast. So you really want to watch it because if you overdo this, your cookies will taste burnt at the end. Trust me, I've done it many times. It's not pleasant. So you can see the butter is melting. It's gonna foam up and sizzle and bubble. And once the bubbles kind of like slow down, you're gonna start to see the butter brown and then you can smell it. And when the butter starts browning, you don't wanna take it too far because it will continue cooking as it cools. I'm just gonna stir it a little to make sure that the milk solids don't stick to the bottom. I'm turning the temperature down a little bit. You see it's kind of bubbling in there. So mine's about there. You can see those milk solids. I'm going to take it off of the heat because it's going to continue to cook while it's cooling down. And you do not want this to burn. And what I'm gonna do is take it out of this pan. Oh, you can see that. Look at those milk solids that are now browned. And what I like to do now, which is my first tip, is to really cool this down. And what I do is I get ice cold water and put the brown butter into something that's not the original pan because the pan is still hot. And then just put that in here and let that cool down. And just continue to stir it and it'll turn back into a more solid state. So in the video, they keep it in this liquid state, and maybe that's the reason why the cookies spread a lot when it's made at home, because we're not as skilled of bakers. I mean, I'm just an amateur baker, and I found that cooling it down really helps. When you're doing this, make sure that you're really careful not to like splatter your butter around or get water into here, because trust me, I've done it and then I'm like, oh shoot, half the butter is gone and then I have to restart. So just make sure you're really careful at this moment. And as you can see, as you stir it, it will begin to become solid again. So just keep stirring it. It may take a while, but this step really helps make sure your cookie does not spread so much. And just like that, your butter solidifies again. I think this is a good state to have it in. So pretty happy with that. And you can just see those specks of brown butter within there. Oh, so good. And it smells delicious. So it's gonna take about 5 to 10 minutes for your butter to get back into this solid state. In my opinion, it really helps make sure that your cookie doesn't spread when it's baking. And now we're gonna mix our dry ingredients. We got 250 grams of flour. Dump that into this bowl. You could sift it if you want. I'm not gonna do that. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then a heavy pinch of salt. Grab a whisk and make sure you whisk those ingredients thoroughly together. Kind of helps get some of those lumps out as well. Time to get out the bad boy. That is my stand mixer. Now we're gonna cream all of our wet ingredients together. So you got your brown butter. I'm going to scoop that into the stand mixer. Make sure you get all that in there. This is arguably one of the best parts of the cookie. Oh shoot, I'm just a mess. But that's baking with me, really, or cooking with me, to be honest. Just living with me, to be honest. So I use the whisk attachment. This isn't in the recipe, but I like to do this. Just whip up the butter a little bit so that's nice and smooth on a medium-high heat. I gotta plug it in. Give me a minute. We got this plugged in and we're gonna whip it up on medium-high. So we're just whipping that up a little bit to get it going, get it flowing. All right, that's whipped up. Just gonna wipe down the sides really quick. Make sure all that gets incorporated. I'm gonna add in 215 grams of dark brown sugar. Wabam. And then 73 grams of white sugar. We're gonna let this go for about a minute and let that all incorporate. Now we're gonna add 2 eggs. I like to crack my eggs in a separate bowl just in case I get any eggshells because it happens to me a lot. So 1 egg, and these are room temperature eggs. It's better to bake at room temperature. Also gonna add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, putting that in. We're gonna let this go for about 5 minutes, which is a little longer than it says in the recipe, but I think adding more air into the mixture and letting that get really light and fluffy gives a better cookie at the end of the day. As you can see, the mixture kind of paled up in there, and then you just want to scrape the bowl to make sure that all of that's well incorporated. We're gonna cut up our chocolate. We got dark chocolate 60% and also some Heath bars. The recipe says Skor bars, but I cannot find a Skor bar in any of the stores around me. I don't know what they are. I've never seen them. I'm from Texas, so instead we got Heath bars, which is the same kind of chocolate toffee thing. And the store I went to did not have full bars, so I got these little ones that I'm gonna have to unpack and cut up. So it's gonna be a fun time. We'll just unpackage these one by one. Enlist some friends' help. If you have friends, all my roommates are gone skiing or snowboarding or something like that. So this is a BP ham task for the day. So in total, you'll need about 300 grams of chocolate. I got 200 grams of dark chocolate and about 100 grams of Skor bar. I'm not gonna buy another bar because the recipe says 216 grams, but I'm not gonna buy another bar of chocolate for 16 grams. So I just added another little Heath bar here. Cut these up into small pieces, not too small, but small enough. Oh, love that sound. I don't know, toffee just makes a really nice sound when you cut it. And now we got to do our chocolate bars. Honestly, you can use whatever type of chocolate you want. You know, everyone says, you know, don't use milk chocolate, but if you like sweet cookies, use milk chocolate. But I like a little balance with my cookies, so we're using 60% dark. I'm not like an intense 70, 80, 90% dark person, but if you are, go right ahead. These are your cookies, so you don't have to follow the recipe 100%. So I just cut these up into decent size because I do like those chunks of chocolate. Just the wafers are just a little too big for me. And I do this with any chocolate chip cookie recipe. I find that those little chocolate chips just aren't as good as when you buy like a bar of chocolate, a good bar of chocolate, and use that in your cookies. And I like the irregular look, so you don't have to be so meticulous in how you are chopping them. And now we're gonna add in the dry ingredients. So just dump that right in there carefully. So you're gonna stir this in until you can barely see the flour or just see a little specks of flour, and you don't wanna overwork the dough because then more gluten forms and it gets more tough, etc. So just lightly. Why is this not? Hello? So just lightly stir that in. It really does not take that long. I'm gonna take that out. Yeah. get all of that off the paddle. You don't want to waste any of that good stuff. Now get your chopped chocolate and pour it right in. Make sure to get all those shards. Careful not to spill as much as I am. And then lightly stir that in. And while you're stirring, scrape the bottom of the bowl so that you make sure that all those flour bits are incorporated inside of this delicious cookie. Again, just mix it through so all the chocolate chips are evenly dispersed, but don't over mix it. And I think we're good. So we're gonna cover this, let it chill out for about 30 minutes, let all those flavors kind of mingle with each other in there, and then we're going to form them and bake them. Preheat your oven to 375. Our dough has been resting for about 30 minutes, and now we're gonna shape them and bake them. What I actually like to do when I'm baking cookies is bake one cookie as a kind of tester. I mean, it only takes about 8 to 10 minutes, so it's not that time consuming, and you can really gauge the temperature of your oven to see how long the rest of your cookies are gonna need to bake. And you know, sometimes different ovens operate at different temperatures, and this is a good way to ensure that you don't ruin a whole batch of cookies by over baking them or under baking them. I'm just gonna get an ice cream scoop. I like to measure my cookies out because I just like them all to be the same size. You don't have to do that. I'm just a little crazy, so I gotta weigh them out. But I like about a 40 to 45 gram cookie. Gives you a big yield, and the cookies are just big enough so you can not feel bad about eating it. And what I like to do is shape them into kind of like a ball, and then just kind of make them into like a circle shape. Not exactly flattening the cookie, but just making sure that when it's in the oven that it kind of melts evenly. Our pre-bake went really well. We cooked them for about 8 minutes, and it's the perfect consistency that I like, so I underbaked it from the recipe by about 1 minute, but when it cools, it becomes nice, so soft, and so good on the inside. So now we're just gonna finish forming the cookies and putting them to bake. I didn't mention before, but make sure you sprinkle your cookies with some sea salt. I like to use flaky salt. It just brings the whole cookie together and elevates the flavors just so much. So just try it if you've never done it. Like I said before, I like to weigh them out. 45, around there. Put it on the sheet and then just flatten it out a little bit with your finger. And then make sure it's just like in a circular shape. To me, it makes the cookies, instead of like that mound, it's more flat, so it kind of melts evenly instead of having that big mound in the center. I don't know, but works for me, so I just do it. And then what you're gonna do is get that flaky salt and you're gonna sprinkle it on top. You wanna sprinkle from a high point so that it evenly disperses. If you sprinkle it like too close, you're just gonna have like one really salty bite. So just sprinkling that on there. Throw these in the oven for 8 minutes.
The cookies just got out of the oven. They look great. You're gonna think they're underbaked, but once they cool, they're gonna flatten, and then it's just gonna be the perfect texture. And they're still cooking on this pan because the pan is really hot. I just let them cool out on this pan. I mean, just look at that. Ooh, they look so good.
All right, so here they are. Look at them in all their cookie chocolate chip glory. Ooh, it's nice and soft in the middle. This is like my favorite type of cookie. So we're just going to. Wow, they are actually really good. Like, and that flaky salt on the top really just, I don't know how to explain it, but just adds a really nice texture and flavor to the cookies. The brown butter, the toffee, chocolate chip, it just works. I don't know why, but it's one of the best cookies I ever had, and that's why I make them very often. Hopefully my tips help you guys out. As you can see, these cookies did not spread, and these are like normal size cookies, so hopefully yours turn out the same. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and if you like this video, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, give this video a like, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.